While I was just out in Arizona filming for a gig, one of the guys, Ken and Mike, brought to my attention of a retro town nestled beside a highly phosphorus gray shale mountain in New Mexico with tasteful charm of 1950s Americana. Tucumcari is often associated with the heyday of Route 66, a historic highway that stretched from Chicago to Santa Monica, California. The city played a significant role as a popular stop for travelers along this iconic route during the mid-20th century, and boasts numerous vintage motels, diners, and gas stations that capture the nostalgia of the Route 66 1950s era. Many of these landmarks have distinct neon signs and retro architecture, which is obviously perfect for film photography, tropes, and memes aside. Obviously, once I heard this and the praise from Ken to Mike, I knew that it was somewhere that I had to stop on my way home from Phoenix to Milwaukee. While I don't do much night photography at all, I thought this was a great little pit stop on my 28-hour drive home to stretch my legs and cameras and test out some shots on this little charm of a town. I quick stopped in Albuquerque to pick up some film, specifically 2 rolls of Portra 800, so that I was fairly well equipped for this night photography session. So let's head out to the little town of Tucumcari and see what we can find.
Alright, so I made it just past sunset. I was kind of doing a little reconnaissance through the city to see what I thought was most interesting. Obviously there's a couple like notable scenes that I really wanted to do at night. I had Portra 160 in the Mamiya from Sedona, so I quickly finished that, kind of ran through the city and just shot whatever I could with the remaining light. So I'm going to throw some Portra 800 into the Mamiya 7 and throw it on a tripod and then start walking around. So let's go. Well, unsurprisingly, I ripped through pretty much the whole roll just at this little motel here. So I'm gonna load up the other Portra 400 and keep wandering. I might take another couple photos of this car kind of close up. But yeah, so far it's been really cool here. Lots of neon signs, lots of abandoned buildings. A lot of really interesting nighttime stuff to get into. Alright, so I shot a ton around that motel. Obviously it's super cool and the lighting is obviously really good, so why not rip a few and make sure that I'm actually getting the shots exposed correctly, especially because I don't shoot a ton of night photography, so I really want to make sure that I get these shots while I'm here because who knows when I'll be back. One thing that I am noticing about this little town is I wish I would have got here like an hour before I did. There's a lot of abandoned buildings and cool signs that are kind of ripped apart, you know, from it being abandoned and elements and whatnot. But with it being so dark, I can't really see that. So it would have been nice to get some of those shots before the sun went down, then move on to some of this night stuff and neon light stuff. So just something to note for the future, or if you are coming here yourself. So yeah, otherwise now I'm gonna drive around a little bit. I was walking around, but there wasn't a ton around that motel I was just at. So I'm gonna drive around and see if there's anything else that I can see to finish up this Portra 800 roll and go from there.
Alright, so after this final shot at the Roadrunner Lodge, I plotted a course east into the darkness, heading home. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with the results and think that these handful of photos, specifically, 3 rolls, actually turned out pretty well. One thing that I wish I would have been more intentional about is the glow to the highlights with the slight bloom filter. I think it does look cool on some of the photos, definitely giving off that dream-like feeling to them, but having some photos without it, especially where the highlights start to lose some of the detail, would have been nice and beneficial. I also shot like half of the first roll on Portra 160, which is why a portion of them are kind of half-baked. But with that being said, I don't really shoot any night photography, so the fact that I actually was able to get these to be exposed and come out halfway decent, I think should be a testament that anyone, including yourself, can go out and shoot some compelling night photos. I honestly just listened to my light meter, which you can use your phone realistically, and when in doubt, just leave the camera open for a few more seconds, exposing for more light. With this type of photography, your film will be much more forgiving to longer exposures versus shorter ones. In fact, due to reciprocity failure, film will sort of exponentially take in less light the longer it's exposed to light. So talking about settings a little bit, I was typically shooting all of these photos around f8 to f16 so that the whole scene was in focus ideally. And because we're on a tripod, we don't really have to worry about stopping down at all. If you guys want a more in-depth video specifically about how to shoot film at night, let me know down in the comments, as I think that would be kind of a fun video, having me explain more on-site, on location while I'm taking the photos, my metering process, kind of the composition process, reciprocity failure, etc, etc. Otherwise, there's a pretty beast Willem Verbeek video that he released probably 6 months ago at this point that honestly is pretty extensive and goes pretty thoroughly through how to shoot film at night and kind of his thought process when it comes to metering for the highlights versus shadows, especially in these super contrasty photos. But with that being said, let me know down in the comments what you guys think of these photos, and if you've ever done night photography, or if you've ever been to Tucumcari, New Mexico, as I think it was truly a really unique historical place. Like I said, I was pleasantly surprised when I first got the photos back. I was a little nervous. I wasn't gonna have half of them come out, but yeah, shooting film at night or any night photography is really not as hard as it seems, especially once you start getting the hang of it and can start looking how to meter your subjects. Otherwise, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more stuff coming soon. Videos dropping Sundays at 10 a.m. Yeah, so until the next one, stay safe, stay shooting. Thanks for watching. Adios.
Weeping willow in the yard.